Hey guys, this will be me going over the 4.1 homework, and we are talking about roots. So, find the indicated real nth roots of a. And so basically what that's saying is that, well, whenever we're doing roots, it's nth root of a. So not just square roots, it's whatever the index number is, and we call it, so this is the index number, and this is referring to the radicand, and the radicand is what is underneath the radical. Okay, so just kind of remember terminology. We have the index number, we have the radical itself, and we have the radicand. Okay, so in this case right here, we're trying to solve the fifth root of -1. And what this means is what number multiplied by itself 5 times over is going to be -1. And the only thing that's going to be is -1. So if I multiply -1 5 times over, it's going to be -1. And for 2, it's saying the fourth root of 256. So what number multiplied by itself 4 times over is going to be 256? And if you're really not sure, I mean, you can just start with like 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. This is going to be 4. That's going to be 4. 4 times 4 is going to be 16. Okay, so it's not going to be 2. You can do 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And if you have a calculator, you can do this pretty quickly. But that's going to be 9. This is going to be 9. 9 times 9 is going to be 81. So it's not going to be 3. We can try 4. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. That's going to be 16. This right here is also going to be 16. 16 times by 16 is 256. And so the answer here is 4. 4 is a number when you multiply it by itself 4 times over, that's going to give you 256. So I think we should also include positive and -4. I think they want us to do that, because it does say find the indicated nth roots, plural. So -4 could also be multiplied 4 times over and still get 256. Whenever the index number is an even number, that means that it should, and the number inside is positive, then you should have 2 roots. When the index number is odd, well, it doesn't matter if the radicand is positive or negative, it's always just going to have 1. Okay. And then here we have the 6th root of -729. And now you can see here that we have an even root, but a negative radicand. And that means that there is no such root. So no real roots. Because maybe there are imaginary roots, but it's asking for the real roots, which there won't be any. So yeah, we can settle it like that. Okay, so no real roots. All right, next, evaluate the expression without using a calculator. Cool. So right here we have 8 to the power of 1/3, which is equivalent to the third root of 8. So this is converting between rational exponent and a radical, but these are equivalent expressions. They mean the same thing. So this just means what number multiplied by itself 3 times over is going to give you 8, and that's going to be 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so that should be our answer there. This right here, I'm going to convert this into radical form. So 81 is going to be the radicand, and then the root is the denominator. So this is going to be the 4th root, and then this will be raised to the 3rd power. Okay? So what I'm looking to do here is find the 4th root of 81 first, and then I'll do the power. But what number multiplied by itself 4 times over is 81? I think we already went over it whenever we were trying to solve this problem right here, but that should be 3. So 3 times 3 times 3, that's going to be 9, that's going to be 9, 9 times 9 is going to be 81, so 3 multiplied by itself 4 times over is 81, and so this will be equivalent to 3 to the third, and 3 to the third, so 3 times 3 times 3 is going to be equal to 9 times 3, which is going to be 27. Okay. This one right here, so I'm going to rewrite it as a radical, so that's going to be negative 64 underneath the radical. It's going to be a third root, because 3 is the denominator, and then this will be to the 4th power. Okay, and to be honest, you could even write it like this right here. So you could write this as the third root of negative 64 to the 4th power. So you can evaluate it either way first. You can evaluate the power first, or you can evaluate the root first. But it depends on if it's easier to evaluate the power or the root. So I don't know how to do 64 to the 4th power and then take the cube root of that. I think that would be harder than doing the finding the cube root of negative 64 and then multiplying it to the 4th power. So, but the third root of 64, I think that's 4. So 4 times 4 times 4, 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 should be 64. Yeah, so it'd be negative because it's negative here. So it's going to be negative 16, and that's going to be raised to the 4th power. Oh, okay, I'll be honest, I don't think I can do that without a calculator, but we can try. So it's going to be positive because it's to the 4th power. So I know that, and then I know 16 times 16. I think 16 times, didn't we do that earlier? 16 times 16 is 256, I think. And so, oh man, so 16 times by 16 times by 16 times by 16. So this is 256. This right here is 256. Oh man, I can't do that in my head, so I'm just going to do 16 to the 4th in the calculator, guys, and that's okay. Wait a minute, what am I doing? 1 second, guys. No wonder I can't do that. That's not what we're supposed to do. I wrote this right here. This is supposed to be negative 4, not negative 16. Negative 4. I think I said that earlier, but I wrote down negative 16 for some reason. So the cube root of negative 64 is negative 4, and that's going to be raised to the 4th power, and we already did that here. 4 to the 4th power is 256. So this right here is going to be equal to 256. There we go. That makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this one. This is going to be the 4th root, because I'm looking at the denominator, of 16. And this is going to be raised to the, I'm going to say negative 7 power. So this is a negative right here. I'm going to say to the negative 7. Okay, and then the 4th root of 16. So what multiplies by itself 4 times over to give you 16? I think that's 2. 2 times 2, because that's 4. That's 4. 4 times 4 is going to be equal to 16. Yep. So this is going to be equal to 2 raised to the negative 7. And then I have a negative exponent, and negative exponents we use reciprocals for. And so 1 over 2 to the 7th. And then 2 to the 7th, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so then I know 2 times 2, that's 4, and that's 4 times 2. 4 times 4, this right here is going to be 16. This here is going to be 8. 8 times by 16, which I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just going to use a calculator, is 128. So this right here is going to be equal to 1 over 128. All right. Evaluate the expression using a calculator. Round your decimal answer to 2 decimal places. Okay, so we have the 7th root of 1695. So let me open a calculator, and then, so in order to, if you don't have a calculator that uses seventh or any root other than square root, then what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do 1695, and I'm going to raise that to the 1/3 power, and I get 11.923. So this right here is going to be equal to 11.92, since we're rounding to 2 decimal places. So this is what, wait, did I do 7th power? I did a 3rd power. Sorry, I need to redo this. This right here is equal to 1695 raised to the 1/7 power. Okay, so let me redo that because I did 1/3. So 1695 raised to the 1 divided by 7, and that gives me 2.89. So equal to 2.89. So, okay, and then I can just go ahead and put that in my calculator. So 85 to the 1/6 power. So 85 raised to the 1 divided by 6. And I get 2.0, we'll just say 2.10 equal to 2.10. Here we have 86 to the negative 5/6. Okay, so we have 86 raised to the negative 5 divided by 6. So 86 raised to the negative 5/6. 1 second. 86 raised to the negative 5 divided by 6. Yep. 0.02. And this next one right here, so this right here I'm going to rewrite. So it's going to be negative 8 raised to the 8/5, because it's a 5th root, which would turn that to 8/5, because we already have an 8 power. So 8 power, 5th root. Okay, so negative 8 raised to the 8 divided by 5, negative 27.86. So negative 27.86. Okay. Alright, this next one should be pretty good. Find the radius of the figure with the given volume. So this is a cylinder. So volume of a cylinder is equal to pi r squared times by the height. Okay, so we know that the volume is given to us, so that's 1332 is equal to pi, and I don't know what the radius is because that's what I'm trying to find, but I do know that the height, so this will be r squared times by 9. So I do know the height, and I just need to solve for r. So if I rearrange these terms, I got 1332. I'm going to write it as 9 pi r squared. I'm going to divide by 9 pi. Okay, so then I'm going to have r squared is equal to 1332 over 9 pi. And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And r is equal to the square root of 1332 over 9 pi. So that's what I'm going to put into my calculator. So the square root 1332 divided by, I'm going to use parentheses around this denominator, 9 pi. To enter, and I got 6.86. So I said 86, right? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. That would be the radius of this cylinder right here, where with the height of 9, I would get a volume of 1332. Okay, find the real solution or solutions of the equation. Round your answer to 2 decimal places when appropriate. Okay, so we're just going to solve for x right here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this part by itself, which means I would have to divide by 5. Okay, so I get x to the third is equal to, and then 1080 divided by 5 is going to be 216. And then I'm going to do the cube root of that, and x is going to be equal to 6. So, yeah, I already know that off the top of my head, so. Okay, now this next part right here, so again, I'm solving for x, but I have to work around, so like this one, the first thing I did was divide by 5. Instead of taking the cube root, I don't want to take the cube root first. In this case, though, I want to take the fourth root first because x is inside of those parentheses, which means I want to get rid of that before I can get inside of it. And so I'm going to use the fourth root. I'm going to get x minus 5 is equal to, and the fourth root of 256 is 4. Okay, I wonder if they want us to use plus or minus. Let's check. Yeah, let's do plus or minus 4. Okay, and then we're going to add 5. Okay, so that means x could be two things. It could be positive 4 plus 5, or x could be equal to negative 4 plus 5. So in the first case, you would get 9, and in the second case, you would get 1. Now, you can even check your answer. So if I plug in 1, right here, I get 1 minus 5, which would be negative 4, and negative 4 to the fourth is 256, so that checks out. And then if I do 9, so if I plug in 9 here, 9 minus 5 would also be 4. Yeah, so those are my solutions. I got two solutions there. All right, here, so I want to get this by itself. So the first thing that needs to happen is to divide by 7. So 56 divided by 7 is 8. So I get x to the fourth is equal to 8. And then I would go ahead and do the fourth root on both sides. And I'm going to get x is equal to, I know that this will be plus or minus because it is a fourth root of a positive. So we have 8 raised to the 1. So if I'm typing this into my calculator, sorry, 1 second. This will be the fourth root of 8, which when I'm putting it into my calculator, I'm essentially putting it in as 8 to the 1/4. Well, that is what I'm doing. So 8 raised to the 1 divided by 4, so I get x is equal to plus or minus 1.68. So got a decimal there. Or you can leave it like this right here, honestly. I'm fine with either. So if you leave it right here or like that, I'm fine with either. Okay, this next one right here, so I'm trying to get this expression by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 40. So I get x to the third is equal to 25 minus 40, which would be negative 15. And then I'm going to use a cube root. Okay, so I get x is equal to the cube root of negative 15. You can leave your answer like that, but if you want to type it in, raised to the 1 divided by 3, I get that this is equal to negative 2.47. This will not be plus or minus because it is an odd, so it's just going to be negative. Okay, and then here, trying to get this by itself, so I'm actually going to multiply both sides by 6 because 6 is the reciprocal to 1/6, so those would cancel. So I get x to the third is equal to 36 times 6 is going to be equal to negative 216. I'm going to use a cube root. Okay, x is equal to the cube root of negative 216, which I already know that this will be negative 6, because negative 6 to the third power is negative 216. So, okay, and that should wrap up this homework assignment. Shouldn't be too bad, so hopefully the video helps.